Good evening. This is a special investigative broadcast from Next Star Studio, diving deep into the tightly sealed executive corridors of the global entertainment business. In our continuous coverage of the contemporary media market, this newsroom has meticulously deconstructed the operational shift away from traditional major record labels. We have exposed the legal mechanics of restrictive recording contracts, analyzed the logistics of independent distribution pipelines, and documented the historic multi-million-dollar battles for intellectual property ownership. Tonight, we open a highly classified corporate chapter that mainstream entertainment networks actively avoid, an in-depth forensic investigation into what industry call the executive panic. Within the traditional Hollywood studio system, centralized boardrooms operate under a dogmatic belief that they possess absolute ownership over the visibility, narrative, and career of any global creator. For decades, their highly aggressive public relations machines and distribution monopolies have successfully forced artists into complete submission. However, as our investigative unit compiles the internal media data, stadium venue metrics, and independent streaming statistics from this current era of 2026, a massive institutional crisis reveals itself. The old guard is currently facing a catastrophic realization. Jordan, by completely bypassing their corporate filters and building a decentralized global empire entirely on her own terms, has broken the dependency myth that keeps the studio system alive. Tonight, we deconstruct the exact day the corporate elite realized they had lost total control over a generational powerhouse, triggering a historic wave of structural panic inside the most powerful boardrooms in Hollywood. To truly understand the mechanics of this corporate crisis, our investigative unit must expose the traditional methods utilized by major conglomerates to enforce absolute dependency. When an exceptional prodigy emerges onto the international stage via mainstream broadcasting platforms, the Hollywood apparatus immediately deploys highly restrictive multi-album deals, colloquially known as corporate golden handcuffs. These legal frameworks grant corporate stakeholders and non-creative board members the definitive authority to dictate an artist's sonic aesthetics, visual image, and global distribution timelines. For a rare creator whose entire identity is built on the raw emotional depth of classic jazz, traditional blues, and grand orchestral soul, such rigid limitations present a severe risk of immediate creative stifling. Historical industry data confirms that when raw talent is subjected to intensive corporate restructuring, the original artistic identity is systematically dismantled to satisfy short-term, algorithmic pop trends designed for quick financial liquidation. The system is engineered to make the artist believe that survival without a centralized studio marketing machine is mathematically impossible. This deep archival evidence explains the strategic resistance mounted by Jordan and her immediate advisory circle. They recognized early on that traditional contracts were not designed to nurture her unique vocal dynamics, but to transform her pristine musical heritage into a highly malleable corporate asset to be cross-commercialized until market exhaustion occurred. We now examine the precise flashpoint that triggered the massive boardroom gridlock, the day the traditional metrics shattered. Traditional executive forecasts and corporate industrial projections openly predicted that an independent catalog focusing on complex, timeless genres like symphonic soul would fail to achieve large-scale financial viability in this highly competitive digital era. The corporate elite assumed that by executing a quiet distribution boycott and restricting her cross-continental visibility on mainstream television, they could force Jordan back to the negotiating table on their own restrictive terms. But our newsroom investigation reveals a catastrophic miscalculation of modern consumer behavior by these major conglomerates. Throughout this year of 2026, the international music public has experienced severe cultural fatigue toward overproduced, manufactured commercial products. When Jordan bypassed the traditional radio syndication filters and executed decentralized album drops, such as her recent independent project, Secret of Love, containing 12 profound arrangements, the global response was unprecedented. Her unmediated digital channels generated staggering streaming numbers entirely through organic direct-to-consumer pipelines. When internal analytics showed her independent empire outperforming heavily funded mainstream pop formulas, a historic wave of panic swept through executive boardrooms, proving that a dedicated global audience is an unbreakable shield against institutional suppression. The ultimate economic confirmation of this corporate disruption materialized during what analysts call the Las Vegas reckoning. Staging a self-funded, independent headline performance at a historic venue like the International Theater at the resort and casino was a direct logistical challenge to Hollywood's live distribution monopoly. Traditional promoters heavily doubted her scalability, believing that without corporate validation and massive marketing capital, the auditorium would remain unfilled. Instead, Jordan's team utilized advanced direct digital engagement strategies to secure an absolute capacity crowd, filling the historic venue to its absolute limits entirely through independent ticketing channels. On that grand stage, performing powerful original compositions like No One Can Hear My Heart, alongside timeless global masterpieces, she delivered an undeniable commercial verdict. Financial analysts estimate that because she retains 100% ownership of her master recordings and publishing equity, her independent production infrastructure yields substantially higher net profit margins per ticket and stream compared to traditional label models. The high-level corporate executives who once attempted to control her direction were left watching from the sidelines as an autonomous creator achieved massive financial scale while maintaining absolute creative freedom, completely dismantling the traditional power dynamics of the live entertainment sector. As we draw this comprehensive forensic investigation to an absolute close, the final journalistic verdict is definitive and historic. The executive panic inside Hollywood is not merely a story about a single independent artist outperforming corporate expectations. It represents the permanent collapse of the traditional label monopoly in the global music industry. Jordan has shattered the foundational myth of corporate dependency, demonstrating to independent creators across the globe that absolute ownership of your intellectual property and unwavering loyalty to your authentic vocal mechanics are the ultimate keys to long-term financial and creative freedom. Her triumph stands as an institutional blueprint for the future of entertainment, signaling a new era of absolute artistic sovereignty where raw talent can connect directly with a multi-million-strong international without institutional gatekeepers or predatory corporate filters. This special extended broadcast has been brought to you by Next Star Studio, committed to delivering rigorous, data-driven, and investigative journalism regarding the world's most phenomenal independent vocal powerhouses. We now turn the analysis over to our international viewing audience. How do you evaluate the strategic economic model used by Jordan to trigger this historic executive panic? Do you believe the collapse of the traditional studio monopoly will permanently liberate independent artists worldwide in 2026? We welcome your professional and analytical insights in the comment section below. To ensure you remain permanently connected to our continuous investigative updates on the global entertainment sector, ensure you execute the subscription mechanism, engage the notification bell, and distribute this report across your digital networks. Thank you for your high-level analytical engagement tonight. This is Next Star Studio signing off from our central newsroom. Good night and take care.